Alright, what's up, guys? I'm just trucking along here and figured I'd make a video on how to be an owner operator, how to go about it, because I know it's like a lot of guys, that's what they want to do in this trucking game, and that's what I did. And I see a lot of these guys on YouTube, these fucking retards that are trying to give people advice, and it's just like terrible advice. They'll talk about lease purchases and like Prime Inc. and stuff. Essentially, in my mind, there's no good lease purchase. If you're gonna buy a truck and you're new, go to a bank and just get a loan. Uh, every single one I've ever looked at is basically set up for the company, in the company's favor. It's not gonna really benefit you at all. You're gonna make hardly anything compared to what you should make, and then at the end of the lease, you'll get like a $20,000 Freightliner or International, some kind of piece of junk that is only worth a few bucks anyway, worth less than a used car. Because these trucks, they're expensive to maintain, but they're not that expensive to get into. And if you don't have credit, then you probably shouldn't be thinking about starting a business anyway. You know, that's kind of the way I look at it. If you can't manage your own finances, like you're not going to be able to manage a business. So you shouldn't think about it. You should just think about getting a job with a good company that pays decent, and then getting your life in order. But besides that, the other thing I want to talk about is all these guys that get into trucks and then they end up going running under other companies' authorities, which, like, I have some friends who let guys run on their authority, and that's all right, but I don't like that idea. I think if you're gonna do that, you might as well just, like, if you're gonna go the through all the effort of getting your own truck, you might as well get your own authority, because it's not that big of a deal. And it's like, yeah, insurance is expensive. So, like, let's say you work at Landstar, what do they pay, like 68% or something of the load? It's like, yeah, insurance and all that is expensive. And even if it is more expensive at first than like what these companies are charging you and their percentage they're taking, it's all tax deductible. So, like for example, your first year or two, if you get your own authority, all you're going to be able to use is Progressive. That's the only insurance that's going to cover you. And when I first started, I think it was like 26 or 28,000 a year. But that's all 100% deductible off of my income. So I pay a lot less tax than someone working at Landstar, for example, since the 40% or whatever they're taking, 38 or whatever it is, that's not money you had, so you're not going to be able to claim that. When you get your 1099, it's going to be on the percentage they're paying you, and that's it. And then you're going to be taxed on that versus somebody who's getting the whole pie, spending 28 grand, and that 28 grand's coming right off of their earnings. So that's like something to think about. If you're gonna go for it, go all the way. Be truly independent. Plus, a lot of these companies, like I have friends who worked at Landstar and stuff, they have all kinds of rules and bullshit. Somebody was telling me he's like, yeah, they have a no sitting duck policy. So if you want to spend the night on an off ramp, in the middle of nowhere and another Landstar driver sees you, they're gonna report you. And he said they'll fire you like immediately. So it's just not worth it in my mind. I'd rather have like true freedom. And I think if you were gonna try to get into being an owner operator, you should have that mindset. If you want somebody dictating like what you do and how you do it, like don't get into this shit because there's going to be a lot of times you have to make your own choices. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. If like I know guys who aren't owner ops and I don't, they have a nice quality of life. They make six figures. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something to think about. If there's a few things in my mind, if you're not mechanically inclined, don't get into this. If you're not good with computers and office like clerical work, don't get into this. There's so much. I drive like I don't know 10 to 16 hours a day. But I feel like in terms of running a trucking business, driving is probably only like 40% of it. 40 to 50%. There's like so much more that goes into it. So just because you're a good driver, like that doesn't mean you should be an owner operator. Because owner operating is more than driving. It's like running a business. And out here, it's kind of dog eat dog, honestly. I've seen so many guys go through crazy stuff that would want to make somebody like catch a body. Like, for example, one of my buddies ran out, bought a $110,000 pneumatic trailer. He spent 10 grand getting it wrapped in like a clear rock guard, so it always looks polished and everything. And then within like 2 months, lost the contract and had to sell his trailer. And the place he was hauling for essentially told him like, yeah, we're not going to use you anymore. We're going to use our own trucks. Sorry. And a lot of that, a lot of stuff where people are like, it's just business. At the end of the day, there is no loyalty, which sucks, but it's just how it is. It's the way she goes, I guess. One of the guys, a lot of the guys who helped me get into it were old and experienced doing it a long time. Like one of the guys who helped me get into this is in his 80s and he's been driving, since he was probably in his 20s. Had been owner up and since he was in his late 20s. And there's one of the things he said. He told me, he's like, you better stay in it or under it, or you're gonna lose your fucking ass. And I'll never forget that because a lot of these YouTube guys who talk about this, who are mostly just all talk, they don't mention a lot of that. They don't mention. They think like, oh, you can just do this. You'll work less. You'll make tons of money. And it's like, no, that's not necessarily true at all. It's like, yeah, you can make good money. You can make, I don't know, maybe 250 to 500 G's a year. But there's a lot to it. A lot to it. And you can't just piss away all that money either. You have to always plan ahead, plan for the future, plan if you lose your contract, if your motor blows up, there's all kinds of things you got to worry. You got to set aside money for your taxes. But I don't know. I'm bored driving. and I came across a video of someone giving advice, and I was like, this guy sounds like a fucking retard. It's so insane to me how these fuckers do something for like a month and they're going about it all wrong, and then they just naturally are like, I want to give people advice on how to do this. You know, it's it's not a good thing, and it seems like social media is kind of like cancerous in that aspect, where I've seen a lot of shitty videos. But I'm not really one to give people advice. But if you don't want to, if you don't want to dedicate your life to something like this, and you want to get in it for all the wrong reasons, just like the reasons I listed, like it's probably not a good idea, and you shouldn't do it. But if trucking is in your blood, you like working on them, you know, you don't mind not having a life, you don't mind putting it first, like then get it, go ahead, get into it. 'Cause that's another thing. Like this shit to me is my number one priority. It comes before my family, before my friends, before my relationships. It's like at the end of the day, this is number one. This is the number one thing about my life. My whole life revolves around it. This pays for everything in my life. And if you don't have that mindset, you know, you want to go to your kids' games, you want to do this, you want to do that. Like, don't get into this shit. You know how hard it is doing all that, just being in trucking in general. Like, if you work for somebody, so when you work for yourself, it's 10 times harder. If you can't be dedicated, you can't uh, be committed. Don't think about it. Just get a decent job with a decent company. Go try to find like a union company, maybe UPS or something, and be happy making like grand a week. You know, like how could anyone sneeze at that? That's not necessarily a bad thing, but all right, I'm gonna get off here. I just figured I'd speak on that a little bit because, like I said, I see so many people giving people terrible advice. Videos, guys talking about like, oh, get 5 grand saved up. You could get into this financing deal at Lone Mountain and go to Landstar and shit like that. And it's like, yeah, that seems like a terrible idea. If you got decent credit, you're thinking about getting into it, go to your bank, get a loan, go to a dealership, get a loan, just like you would buying a car. Don't don't set yourself up for failure with these like predatory lease deals, with these predatory companies that are like pieces of shit, and only interested in having someone pay for their truck and paying them pennies with no benefits, and then you know, when they fail to fulfill their lease, like they probably will, 99% of them will, then they'll just lease it to the next sucker. And if you see YouTube videos on it, don't trust them, because that's the other thing. Every single one of these companies, mega carriers, if you watch these YouTube videos, you notice how the guys will be like, "Oh, go here, come work here." They pay pay recruiting bonuses, right, or referral bonuses. So these guys won't tell you, but they're getting a little bonus off of your sorry ass. But all right, I'm gonna get off here and get back to the road. But see you guys later. If anyone has questions about any of this, like getting your own authority, stuff like that, get a hold of me. I could give you some good advice. OIDA is who I would recommend. You pay like the $20 a year membership or whatever, and they have good resources. They have people that will do everything for you. They'll help you apply for your authority, tell you what you need. Then after a year or two, you could get your insurance through them, which I don't, because I pull an end dump a lot, and they don't cover end dumps, but they do have good pricing. That's the other thing about the insurance. Before I end it, I want to speak on. They don't give a shit how long you've been driving. You could have been driving 30 years, and your rates are still going to be outrageous. All they care about is the age of your DOT number, and that's it. So if you got a new DOT number, you're going to pay the price. And as your DOT number ages, you're going to get a lot, especially if you're going to run load boards, you're going to get a lot better offers. Brokers are going to trust you more. Uh, but get better deals on insurance. There's a lot of pros to having an old number. Like even mine, I have people all the time trying to buy it off me just because they want, you know, a number with a long history where they can get these better loads and stuff. But all right, guys, thanks for watching. Later.